Hi, I'm Barbara Calvi, licensed marriage and family therapist, and I want to welcome you to the Couples Corner. Today is part one in my 7-part series on the most common myths about communication that can be really destructive to your intimate relationship. Here's why I want to talk about these. The vast majority of people who come into my office, the first thing they say is, we need to work on our communication. Our problem is our communication. And a lot of times once we start to work together, I find that in fact, there are a number, if not all of these myths at work here. And the problem with that is these myths over time really can get couples stuck and entrenched in a very destructive negative pattern of communicating that ends up escalating. People say they don't ever resolve problems, and over time, there could lead to fighting, bickering, escalation, and it just really tears at the fabric of their relationship. So I want to talk today about myth number one, the myth that I think is probably the most destructive and also the most widespread. And that is, if my partner really loved me, he, she, they would know what to do to make me happy, and they would do it. This is also called the mind reading myth. This is when partners in a relationship don't or stop communicating what they want, what they think, what they feel, and being willing to talk about those directly. And instead, they stay quiet and hope that their partner will do what they want. Hope that their partner will see what they feel. Hope that their partner will say the right thing to soothe them. And if this sounds at all familiar, then you know that usually the result of this is to feel disappointed, frustrated, even hurt, angry, and resentment builds. And over time, and interestingly, the longer a relationship is, the more steadfastly people hold on to these relationships. The thinking becomes, well, you've known me for 15 years, so this should be obvious. And yet, time after time and after time after time, people end up hurt, disappointed, angry, resentful. So here's the reality. We do need to learn to communicate directly with our partners. Now, there are lots of reasons why some people don't. One is sometimes you just didn't grow up with a good model of communication, and that's what you saw. So how would you develop the skills to do that? It's not like skills like this are taught in schools. And what makes it worse is for a lot of people, it feels very threatening to be direct. I mean, this is about kind of revealing your innermost thoughts to your partner. It makes you vulnerable. Now, if you can't be vulnerable in your most intimate relationship, there's probably no other place where it's okay to be vulnerable. And when you keep yourself from revealing yourself, when you keep yourself in that loop of indirect communication, you're not only kind of doomed to the frustration and the hurt, but you're also doomed to having the vitality, the lifeblood sapped out of your relationship. This is what goes wrong in many relationships where people come in and say, there's just no passion anymore. So developing this skill and the courage to communicate directly is part of what's necessary to have a healthy, evolving, vital, and passionate relationship. So if you notice that any of this resonates for you, I really want to invite you to think about this next week, how even in small ways you might start to practice communicating more directly with your partner. And I want to invite you to join me next week for part two in the 7-part series on the most common communication myths that can harm your relationship. And in the meantime, please take good care. Bye-bye.